So going forward, hire GM or coach first?
I hire GM first and let the GM hire the coach.
Agreed. And let the GM and make this like a regular organization where there's a hierarchy where the GM has the ability to go and get those players and have the final decisions, okay, on who they're picking. Coach can have the final decision on the 53. I'm okay with that.
I mean, it depends on what the GM wants to do. I think I wouldn't mind a GM having final decision on 53, and the coaches. I mean, to be honest with you, that's really how most NFL teams are run, where the coach has a say-so and he works directly with the GM, and they come to a consensus about that. I'm fine with that, but there needs to be one guy who catches the bullets in his position and one guy who catches the bullets at the coaching position. And I think that's where a line has to be drawn between GM and head coach, because for too long, we had the Denver way, which was Gary Kubiak brought in Rick Smith, and then you just don't know if the GM is going to be a yes man. You don't know if the GM is, going to be able to butt heads with the head coach. And we had the same situation happen with Bill O'Brien, but we thought, okay, great. Brian Gaine is Bill O'Brien's kind of guy. This is a Bill Parcells guy. And then he's gone after a year. So I think that for the first time in Texas history, you need to get a very competent general manager and let him create the culture in the building. If you want to do it with Jack Easterby, that's great. I don't care. Just make it happen. And the other thing is, you're going to have to go out and find a coach who understands how to get Deshaun Watson back on track to being the Deshaun Watson we thought it would be, whether it's hiring an offense coordinator or maybe this is an offensive coach. Some of the names that we talked about, Brian Daboll out of Buffalo, the offense coordinator, Arthur Smith from the Tennessee Titans. You've got Eric Bieniemy, obviously, is going to be a name that pops up. But I would think that maybe an offensive head coach is going to be the way to go, and then you spend all your draft capital and free agent money on trying to fix that defense.
I wouldn't mind. We talked about it, Dabo Swinney, because he could be a CEO. He seems to be able to hold on to coordinators, get good coordinators to come. I wouldn't mind that the coach isn't offensive-minded or defensive-minded, that he is the CEO, and you have an organization like that on top, and then you have an organization in the football operations that the football team is like that as well, and let people do their jobs this time. Let whoever that offensive coordinator that he brings in here to take care of Deshaun and make sure that Deshaun is as good as possible, and that might be a Dabo or whatever, whomever, get them to have a well-run organization as opposed to I run this side of the ball and then you run this side of the ball. I wouldn't mind a Dabo at all. I think you brought him up this morning, and I think you agree.
I think the interesting thing could be two former Texans quality control guys, Greg Roman, who is currently with Lamar Jackson, and Robert Saleh, who is the architect of that defense in San Francisco. Those two guys, John, you were a sideline reporter back when they were with the Houston Texans, and you saw them when they were just, grunts who were coming up. And now one guy is, a beloved architect of a defense in San Francisco that was swarming, and a guy with lots of fire and passion, and a guy you look like, frankly, you don't want to see in an octagon. And then secondly, Greg Roman, who was successful for at least one season working with Colin Kaepernick. He's worked with Tyrod Taylor. He's worked with, obviously, Lamar Jackson. So when you think dual threat quarterbacks, you think maybe he could help get Deshaun Watson going. So those are two interesting names, but the Dabo name to me is really intriguing because he does have a relationship with Jack Easterby, and he obviously has a great relationship with Deshaun Watson, who he once called the next Jordan. If Dabo is hungry for a new challenge, this could be the type of spot for him where he sees that challenge.
Yeah, and Lincoln Riley is another guy that's been mentioned as well, and that he could get the most out of Deshaun Watson, and I believe that. He's a hell of a quarterback whisperer. But here's the problem: is this job attractive enough? That is a real issue with all of the undoing that Bill O'Brien has done without the draft picks, without talent, with being as dramatic as this organization has been, I think there's still only 32 jobs, so I think it is attractive to a coach. And you do have Deshaun Watson, and those are the two most important things. And if Cal's a good owner, and if he stays out of the way, then he hires the right people to do the job, then it is an attractive job. But it is going to take some time to undo what Bill O'Brien has done. How long before they get out from all of these Bill O'Brien mistakes and we can see an organization that can win at the highest level?
So I know it seems like it's going to take forever. You don't have a first and second round pick, but I think it's possible to get back on track within 2 years. You need to let some contracts roll off the books and maybe take your lumps next year a little bit and go younger and go less expensive. You maybe plug and play with some bridge players. You spend your money that is off the books on guys who are 1 or 2 year deals, and you plug them in to be quality starters, average starters. And then you start, instead of moving up, instead of trading draft picks for players, you have to start looking at moving back and adding draft picks. That's really the only way you can really reclaim this team, is to draft and develop. And the best way to do that is add quantity of picks. And to do that, you have to be willing to trade back. And it's not going to be easy, and they have to be really good in the offseason and drafting and free agency. I think it's possible to get them back on track within 2 years. You do have some talent on the offensive side of the ball, but it is also something that if you do not, if the new hires are not very good new hires, or if you don't have good off seasons, it could set you back 5+ years. Basically 5 years all the way to question mark, meaning it could keep being extended and extended unless you figure out the right way to do it.
Well, you get rid of you get out of the David Johnson contract after this year, the Cooks contract after this year or next.
Bernardrick McKinney.
Cobb after next. You get out of McKinney, you get out of J.J. Watts. You got a couple of years of this Whitney Merciless, and then you're going to get out of it, but you're still going to have some dead cap money. You've got the ability now, but you're right. If you don't make good decisions, then you're going to be the Jets. You could turn it to the Jets because you're getting rid of all kinds of players that have names, but you're going to get a bunch of guys that you can afford now, and that could be a real problem. So they're going to have to make this next hire is so important. And once again, I'm just not sure that Jack Easterby. I'm worried about this whole Jack Easter. He should have just taken the whole thing out and said, "We're starting over, guys, and we're going to hire the right guy at the top, and we're going to have an organization that is going to be the way organizations should be set up, not by a preacher, by a general manager that's a football guy, and hopefully." That will come to fruition, Texans fans.